being like, cool.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get back to the reason why I'm here.
Exactly.
And then they literally said, okay, well, that's the Scorpio 1X now. Here's 42 games. And then they just played them back to back to back to back. And then some of the big hits they had, like, project leads come out. And that's what they did. That was the rest of the show. That was just them talking about the next 42 games. And they had some very good heavy hitters in there that kind of surprised me quite a bit.
Like what? What do you think? Like third party or first party exclusives or?
I would say so. I'm gonna save the one that kind of.
Yeah, let's go through it in order here. The one that jumped out to me the most, that I think is the biggest pull for Xbox, and we had a little bit of a back and forth before we did our reacts right after the show, but we didn't talk about this one. Battlegrounds, Player Unknown. That's humongous.
That's huge. For those of you guys who play or know anything about Battlegrounds on PC, it's basically 100 people go on an island, and it's last man standing. Now, you can do teams of 2, 3, 4, and 5, but you just go on a map, and it's a ginormous island, and then it slowly gets smaller, like gas comes in. It slowly gets, so it forces people to get closer and closer. You can't just hide in a room until everybody dies. It's a very popular Twitch game. It's very popular on PC. It's currently in the beta, but it is now going to be on Xbox, and it looked even better. Like, they literally upped the game on that, no pun intended. Like, they really, really did their stuff. And so, for me, I have a powerful PC, but I still don't even have it powerful enough to play that game successfully. And it's nice to know that I could just get it on Xbox and just play that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Not only can you just get it on Xbox, but you have the original Xbox One, right? Like, you have the launch Xbox
just
One.
Launch box, yeah.
So I like the launch box.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's trademarked. Hold on to your butts. So you have the launch box, and you can play that. It might not look as good as playing it on an Xbox One X, but you can still play it just fine. And everyone knows that a console game is much more reliable in terms of like frame rate and performance than a PC game, right? Because you might have the settings wrong on a PC, and there's more like opportunity for user error on PC settings, right? And
speaking of PC, now I don't play this game. I know it's extremely popular, and especially from kids, if you're artistic, you can play this game. And they do Minecraft, and they always talk about Minecraft at every E3. But the cool thing about this year was it's the first cross-platform multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. So if you have a PC or an Xbox, and it looked like a Switch. Did you see that?
Yeah, Switch is on there. Yeah, so Switch. I have that written down. That is incredible. Like, we are talking about finally a cross-platform game. Yeah. I can't think of one.
This is the first one
that there's been where now Microsoft has like dabbled in like the PC and Xbox recently. That's great, but they literally in the Microsoft show showed a picture of a Switch saying that you can now play on your console of choice for Minecraft, whether that be an iPad, so Apple's in the mix, or if it's a Nintendo Switch, or if it's an Xbox.
Yeah, they did show an iPad. They showed iPad.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so if I got a Switch, I was playing Minecraft, and Buddy's got a Switch, he's got Minecraft, and I finally now can play with Buddy at home.
Yep.
Now granted, I have a Switch, so we can play together, but this is the first time that,
and
people of different...
I assume that also means, right, like that if you, like, I have a Switch and I have an Xbox, so if I had Minecraft and I was playing on my Xbox or whatever, and then, I was going on a road trip or something, or a plane ride, I could bust out my Switch and play a little Minecraft and, like, expand my story a little bit more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it sounds like the opportunity to, continue your game across platforms. It's not just playing with other people that have a different platform. It's like, if I have all of those platforms, then, like, if my wife is watching TV and I want to bring out the Switch and play Minecraft and continue the progress that I've made on my Xbox so far, I can do that. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool. I mean, like, that's a big move. I'm not a Minecraft guy. I know you're not a Minecraft guy.
I don't think I will be, but here the cool thing about that, the cool thing about that is the hope that comes along with that kind of thing is like, hey, is this going to continue? Are other games going to follow suit? Especially games that are on multiple systems, like
Rocket League.
Yeah, like Rocket League. Why not? And so, and unfortunately, it didn't look like Sony and PlayStation was on the list to be a crop. So if you have a PlayStation, it looks like you're not joining in on the Minecraft fun.
I don't think it's even available on PlayStation.
Yeah, but hypothetically, if it's successful and then other games jump in to be able to do that, maybe Sony will jump on board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it won't become so unique anymore. It
Right.
will just be it'll be a little bit more and more and more comic. Now, depending on the game, PlayStation or like console and PC join together. There's a huge disadvantage to those on console because PC tends to be better in accuracy and quickness. But still, who cares? It's Minecraft. You know, that's just the type of game you're playing.
But a game like Rocket League, right?
No.
Like, there's no advantage for someone playing on PC.
Pro Rocket League players, they play with their even though they play on their console, they still have a controller.
Yeah,
so
because
they just had the tournaments not too long ago, like a week ago, and they were all playing on controllers because that's just the type of games you don't need a mouse for that. But I think that was one of the things that blew my mind, even though it was for a game that I didn't even give a shit about. I think
we skipped one. Before they showed the crossplay in Minecraft, they had the Darwin Project.
Yeah, that seemed a little interesting. It seemed like they're pushed for some kind of new pro game.
I had a hard time not really knowing, obviously not knowing Darwin Project, but also not really knowing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
It seemed similar that it was like a battle royale. Like from the trailer, it looked like it was, okay, this person's left, and there's only these.
But like mixed with Overwatch.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, and so first, for those of you who didn't see it, they showed like a clip, like a cinematic clip of a guy at a fire, and he had certain abilities, and somebody attacked him with different abilities, and then they both ended up losing by a third party that came in with different abilities. And then they showed quick gameplay with a guy commentating as if he was like a professional video game esport commentator.
Yep.
And we watched two guys battle in a room or in a field, like a snowy area, but it seemed like there was other people on the map, and they were like, and every time somebody died, it would say 2 players remaining, 1 player remaining, and so that's why that looked interesting. I'm excited to see more on it, and I hope it is successful. But we didn't get a lot. We didn't get too much.
The next game that I have written down here, we're kind of going rapid fire, but the next game that I have written down here is The Last Night. This was the one that kind of looked like Blade Runner. That was really awesome graphics, but almost like updated 8-bit graphics, and it looked like a side-scroller sort of a game. It was the one that had the guy that kind of like woke up and like was strolling along, and
was that what it was called?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking
It
about.
only showed about like a few minutes of it, but like it just looked like a really interesting grab for me. I'm not typically into the 2D games, the ID games, just not. I just don't have time for them. I kind of feel like, unfortunately.
But those are $19.99. That's
those are your kind of games. I always look at you like those are wide ass games.
Yeah,
like those are the ones that you play.
Focus on story, real big on like little strategy, like quick strategy rather than action.
Yep.
So it did look interesting. We didn't get to see any gameplay. It looked like it was just kind of cinematic
like
story,
like feel piece
of an environment. Yeah, but that did look pretty interesting. The game State of Decay 2, that looked really good. It looked like a multiplayer zombie-esque type. Basically, State of Decay 1,
we were
only
going
1,000 times better.
You and I were going back and forth while we were watching that the entire time, like not totally sure that it wasn't Left 4 Dead.
Or Dead Rising.
Yeah.
Or one other game that we were trying to figure out what it was.
It felt like all of those games in a weird way, right? Like it kind of felt like it had the big blobby zombies that were coming at you that, were a little bit more powerful, and you kind of felt that Left 4 Dead vibe. It also had like
but
the
then
obviously
their eyes
teamwork.
would grow. Like their eyes would glow at not all the screenshots had their eyes glow. So I was like thinking Dead Rising at that moment.
Yep.
And then they had like a Sim City, so you get a camp and then you recruit new people and build your but you're recruiting real people. These are not fake people. These are
oh, that's right. Yeah, they had the whole like building your encampment thing. Where it was like make your own prison from Walking Dead, or make your own like farm from Walking Dead.
And if someone got bit, you got to decide whether they're going to shoot them, or I guess they could heal them. So
I wonder how they're going to do that in terms of like, so okay, you build it, then you just like wait there together for a while and not do anything until something attacks.
I don't know. I saw demos of State of Decay, the first one, before it came out, but then I never came back to it, and so I know it came out and it was decently successful. This one just looks way better. So my guess, it looked like from the demo that I saw that they took probably a lot of feedback and improved upon it.
Yeah.
I also thought it was like the real version of H1Z1, not the the King of the Hill version of it. So
Yeah.
we literally had no clue. We were just like running back and forth trying to figure out what it is.
What
It
the hell
looks
it was.
fantastic though.
In terms of like the big games, the big exclusive Microsoft games, I think the first one that we saw throughout that press conference was Sea of Thieves.
Oh, that's the one I have circled down. That out of all those games, now granted, there was other games that I thought were probably better, but that one was the one that like I wasn't expecting. Surprised me the most. Looked so much fun.
For those of you guys, just so you know what our plan is for our E3 press coverage. Again, you're listening to the Microsoft Xbox reaction show with Wyatt and I. You can look out for the Sony reaction show tomorrow night, which will be Monday, and we will be doing a react with Blev and I on the Sony show, and then on Tuesday. Buddy and Kendall and I, my wife, who's a big Nintendo fan, are going to be doing the Nintendo Reacts show. And why you're welcome to come to that too.
Is she going to stay up late enough?
No, she'll probably fall asleep.
So you might not. She'll hear her beginning.
I do have in terms of a video game player, I have the best wife in the world. She falls asleep at like 9, so I get the ability to like play video games for 3 hours every night.
She's not going to stay up to do the second half of your podcast. She's going to do the first part, go to bed.
Yep. So, okay, but throughout all of those, after all of those reacts, we'll have our regularly scheduled podcast this week, probably Wednesday night, or maybe even Tuesday night. I'm not sure yet. One or the other. We'll have our podcast and actually give out our HOTYB stamp for Game of the Show. So, we might do a couple. We might do like our Xbox Game of the Show. Wyatt and I might decide that. We might do our PlayStation Game of the Show. And, in fact, we make our rules up on the fly here on HOTYB.
We sure do.
By the end of this React show, Wyatt and I will give our Game of the Show for Xbox. And we'll do the same for PlayStation on Monday, and we'll do the same for Nintendo on Tuesday. We'll give our picks for each of the press conferences best of shows, and then we'll give our overall best of show. So we'll keep it pretty simple.
It's like it's a horse show. Best in show.
Best in show. The blue ribbon. The blue ribbon for whomever. And so moving on, Sea of Thieves. I have seen a couple of tidbits about this game in the last couple of years. I think they first announced it 2 years ago at E3, and it was really more of like a feel piece. Like we got a couple of those tonight. But tonight we actually saw like an actual solid gameplay demo of 4 people commanding a ship going to like loot treasure. They get the treasure. They're fighting these like NPCs that are skeletons. We were going back and forth on whether or not we think those were skeletons of like players who had gotten that far but then died there, and then you fight them, which would be amazing. And then, which would mean like the harder parts where harder people like it would get exponentially more difficult and have more skeletons to kill. Amazing. And then they got into like this like storm, like circular storm where they're fighting other ships. And Wyatt you remarked how cool the water looked.
The water was the best water I've seen in any game of all time.
Yeah.
On the surface, it just in a way it waved like during the storm. It was like huge waves, and it looked real. Yeah. Now, granted, the regular
like in a cell shaded kind of
the rest of it looked like it's like the water looked fantastic, and everything else like looked like the cell shaded goofy thing, but it still looked pretty. But oh my gosh, that water! The rest of the game, the gameplay looked good, and hands down, probably the best trailer. Not only because of the gameplay and what it was, but it was actually silly because like at the very beginning, he jumps into the ocean to swim to a wrecked ship, and he swims in, and there's a narrator doing the whole thing. He's like, literally, there could be anything in that ship, anything. Literally,
we haven't finished the game
because we haven't finished the game, so we really don't know what's in it yet either. And so, like every time they would like reference like the breaking the fourth wall kind of like thing and stuff like that. It was really clever.
That game did a good job. So like that game did the where they have like 4 kind of like stock actors or actresses or something like pretend like they're playing the game, and like they talk in a way or at a cadence or like a way that you would never actually talk playing the game. But the cool thing is, even just watching like a walkthrough of that game, it would be hilarious to play it with friends.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you're still gonna like want to be like on point and complete the mission, but like you even mentioned like I see in this one scene 20,000 different puns that I could make about this.
I would have been making so many puns as well. The other funny thing is like they were doing like a normal like going in a circle. 2 ships were battling and shooting cannonballs. So like all like 3 of the NPC or 3 of the players, not NPCs, were like loading cannons and shooting them over while one was steering the ship. And then finally, one of them decided to get in the cannon, and they shot the buddy over to the other side so they could sword fight.
Yes.
He went into the middle of the ship where there was holes in the ship that was leaking water.
So good.
And so the ship was slowly sinking, and I'm assuming you probably have to patch that up.
Yeah.
So you have people shooting, people patching it up, people steering, and